Let us pray. Loving God, we may not be able to travel far these days, but we have travelled a greater distance than we can imagine. We have moved from what is familiar to what is now new and unexpected. We have moved from one routine to creating new habits in our lifestyle. We have moved from touch and presence and community to a kind of isolated distancing. And we seek to understand and find meaning and wonder about it all. May we find this travelling place, the place to explore and retell and wonder about where we are going. May we daringly tell the stories we know, yet leave space for them to evolve and reshape us as we reshape them in this liminal space. May we explore them, find new priorities in them, old stories we had forgotten that speak into our time anew. And with each new experience, may you hold us. May you hold us as we share these stories with others, as we want to better understand how we reshape faith for this day, shape community in this experience, engage with each other through living lives of faith, even though the ground has shifted. But it had done for those first travellers to Emmaus too. So we journey with them, a journey that never finishes being travelled, but is travelled with you. It is such trust we cling on to at this time, seeking the encouragement that we need. And when we feel vulnerable in these times, trust that love that holds us through all things. As we continue to pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Emmaus, I think, is my favourite story in the Bible. Well, there are others that fall into that category too, but for this morning, this is my favourite. It's a fabulous parable for us, wandering to an unmarked place. Because Emmaus is not a place marked on any map. It is a place you set out for after the whole ground beneath you has shifted. And along the way, a stranger meets you. And you tell each other stories, share questions, explore the faith with them. And you bounce off each other, discovering new insights, encouraged after thinking it was all over, that things had changed so much that there was no going back now. Now this stranger and you making company together find new ways to understand old realities. And you walk and you talk until you reach your destination, Emmaus. And you say, well, here we need to stop. And the stranger says, well, I need to keep travelling. But you insist they at least eat with you, break bread together. In some way it seems obvious to do so. You've shared a lot, and eating together binds your thanks and companionship, that shared journey that you have had. The stranger sits with you, and you invite them to say grace. He does. But after words of companionship have been spoken, and stories shared, after welcoming a stranger into your midst and loving your neighbour, when you break bread, because you have shared a journey together, As the crumbs fall to the table, a light scatters from the crust as it hits the surface. You get it. You realise something new. Jesus has been among you, where 2 or 3 are gathered, in the sharing of the faith, in the journey into the future, in the welcoming of the stranger, in the hospitality with neighbour. Of course, Jesus has been there. That's what he said would happen. That's what he said the gospel was. And as soon as you get that, eyes are opened. Jesus is among and between us. But Jesus can no longer be seen. Instead, Jesus can be known in the heart, in the sharing, in the bread, in the hospitality. You don't need to search as if Jesus has sneaked out the door and away along the path. You need to know instead Jesus is alive in your heart. And when your heart is filled with a conviction like that, you can do almost anything. Even run back to Jerusalem, bang on the door of the upper room where the disciples have been hiding, and spill the good news. Jesus is among us. So in our exile travels, in our moving from our own familiar Jerusalem of New Kilpatrick to that unmarked Emmaus on the other side of this pandemic, may we travel sharing the stories that have grown from a travelling people through wilderness and exile along the roadways of Galilean towns. And in sharing them with the stranger and with all those we meet along the way, may we learn to hear them anew, find Jesus in among them and the love and strength that they speak of, and realise we are not on our own. This strange roadway to the future is a faithful pilgrim place, a shared road where in the journeying together we know a Lord that travels with us, for he has travelled this way before. I heard the voice of Jesus say,